friend, and welcome to Listen Up, Love. This is a place for open hearts and open ears, where listening becomes a pathway to healing. Together, we'll explore faith, connection, and communication through the lens of God's love. Whether you're a parent, a daughter, a father, or someone finding your way back to hope, you are welcome here. So, let's slow down, let's lean in, and let's listen up, love, because listening is an act of love. Welcome to Listen Up, Love, and we're back with our friends from Pathways, the professionals that I get to talk to all the time. I'm sharing them with you. And today we're talking about fathers and the presence of a father. And we're going to be having Eric lead us today. And I want to say that it's not having a father doesn't mean that it's perfection, but his presence is very impactful. Is that correct? Like him just being there is impactful.
Yeah, I think the presence of a father is really impactful when it comes to, just within the family, because sons need their fathers, because only a man can show a man how to be a man. But also at the same time, when it comes to that need for feeling safe and protected, and having masculine protection and safety, that comes from a father, and women, the young girls and the boys, they both need that. But also, that's not to diminish the role of a mother,
Yeah.
but, but as we're talking about fathers and what their roles and their purposes is and how it's served in the family, yes, that is important.
And that's perfect. And one of the things we want you to realize is that this is rooted in scripture and not opinion and not culture. That this is by God's design, that God made fathers. And I didn't know my dad, he wasn't there, but at the same time, God provided what I call step-up dads in my life that filled in the gap. But also eventually I met my spiritual father. I met God the Father. And that actually was something that propelled me forward. And because of that, I wrote a book about fathers. And I write about fathers a lot because it's part of my heart and what I'm supposed to share with you. So hopefully this will help some people that their dads are there and can celebrate them because they should be celebrated. He may not have been there, but at the same time, God can heal you from that. And he restores us in different ways. And maybe it's a way for you to reach out and celebrate, our dads, because I think they deserve being celebrated. Specifically, though, we are talking about fathers and daughters. So I wanted Eric to read this letter to a daughter to kind of tell you or empower who you are.
Yeah. All right. So, you are a girl. And guess what? This is exactly why your heavenly father loves you so much. I have no other condition. You don't have to have a lot of accomplishments or physical beauty. You don't have to have eloquent words or make straight A's in school. I love you just because the way you are, and you are extremely valuable to me. I fashioned you in your mother's womb and knew you before you were born. I've been with you your whole life through the good times and bad. I've comforted you, encouraged you, and accepted you in every situation. You never have to try to impress me because I am already enamored by you. I hover over you while you are asleep and admire everything about you. Whenever you're awake, my heart is longing for your companionship. Every time you talk to me, I listen. I am always there for you. I will never abandon you. I will never abuse you. I will never disrespect you. You are enough for me. Be yourself. Laugh a lot. It makes my heart smile. Cry when you need to, because I catch every tear. I am your perfect father. I can heal your heart and make you whole. I have an amazing plan for your life, a plan that is good. And if you listen and obey, draw near to me, my precious girl, and I will draw near to you. Whenever you think I am a million miles away, I am near. Sometimes I just long for you to draw closer and to seek out the hidden treasures I am of who I am in your world. You're not too young and you will never be too old to be a daddy's girl. I am proud of you and I love you with an everlasting love. Forever, Papa.
Oh, that's beautiful. Did anything stick out to you guys as he was reading? Or something that you might wanna share about the impact of your father?
Yeah, I actually, well, I noticed because I happened to be reading over his shoulder
Mhm.
that my dearest daughter, um, was the was the salutation that you didn't read,
Mm.
but you felt
Mhm.
in the words. Like I felt that in the words. And what I was noticing, because initially when he began to read, I was thinking it was a letter from a father to a daughter,
Yes.
as
Mhm.
opposed to a letter from the father
Mhm.
to his daughters. And so I was just thinking back about my dad,
Mhm.
my natural father,
Mhm.
and how he treated me was much like that little girl in that letter. Like I felt loved by him. I felt adored. I felt special. I lost my father early, but that foundational way that he kind of cared for me. I mean, he spoiled me a little bit.
Yeah.
He would bring home special things that were just for Placido. And isn't that what our Heavenly Father does? He
Yes.
is like, it's not about how perfect you are.
Mhm.
You are perfectly made because he made you, right? And so for me, that letter reminded me that when a father is rightly positioned,
Mhm.
his natural daughter will know who they are. And in the knowing of who I am, I kind of lost my way a little bit in life, but I was able to go back to who I am. And then meeting my spiritual father
Yeah.
was like, oh yeah, I am fearfully and wonderfully made,
Yeah.
right? But I
Yeah.
think our identities are fixed when we know who we are in Christ.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a beautiful thing that God is he could be talking about himself as the judge, as the creator, as all of these big things,
Mhm.
but he chooses to come to us as a father,
Hmm.
and that you hold that title also. So it must be something really precious and sacred about that name and that role for him to be calling himself that for us.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. As a father of three daughters, as I was reading that, and it makes me think about how I always want my daughters to feel towards me like they can come to me about everything. Not saying I've always, as a dad, always done that the best way when they were younger, but as time went on, and I started to learn some things, even just as what my wife would just say to me, just things that she would help me to understand about girls. One of the things that I do um, that I love doing is that I love doing things for my girls. I love that. I love seeing them smile and I love helping them to feel like now they can come to me about anything. And now that they're all adults, they come to me with some pretty personal stuff now. You know what I mean? And they want to get a man's perspective. And that is something I value so much more now as a dad, that they come to me because they want to, not because they feel like they have to, but they know that dad is safe and they also want dad's opinion.
I love that. I love too the verses talking about how he will be a father to the
Hmm.
fatherless.
Yeah.
So that definitely happened with me because my dad wasn't there. But when God embraced me, I think I might have told you guys the story of me being the person that I was looking around all around me and I saw um, kids with their dads, but my dad was not there. So it was a longing, a deep longing in my heart. And I think it's a longing that a lot of girls have,
Hmm.
or not just girls, but I'm speaking for myself, that you have it, period. And
Hmm.
it's unspoken. We don't even talk about it. We just like, because you think, well, I used to think that I was going to make my mom feel bad. So I didn't talk about it. But when I went to church one Sunday and I went into the doors, it was like I was wondering if God was really real and all these things, even though I felt like I knew he was real, but I never felt his presence. So I walked into the church for the first time and I go into the foyer and it felt like God physically hugged me.
Mm.
And I'll never forget it. I was talking to Sally about my book one time, and I had never even remembered it until I started talking to you. That he is present and he loves us that much that he will reach out. It's like the desires in your heart that are unspoken or prayers that you haven't even said out loud, that he answers them.
Mhm.
And I didn't even realize it until we were talking. So that was the first time I actually told that story. So
Yeah.
I'm like, then that maybe impacted you about your own dad.
I grew up, I guess, when dads were a little less hands-on. He probably never changed a diaper. But when I got older, he was a tennis pro, and so he taught me to play tennis. He would take me to work with him on Saturdays. I remember that, and I would spend all day. He would teach me, but he'd have other lessons, and I would just hang out at the club and, buy food from the vending machine. And, those are like fond memories I have
Mhm.
as a kid with him. I think his love language may have been quality time, so we would do things together, play sports. I think he probably always wanted a son, but he has 3 girls and 7 granddaughters, so we're just a girl family. And so,
So,
he would take me to basketball games and Braves games and that sort of thing. And I one of the moments that stands out to me is there was a time when my early ish in my marriage when we were really struggling, my husband and I kind of wondered, my dad loved my husband so much. That was like his son that he didn't have. And they got along great. And I was kind of like, when my husband and I were struggling, my dad really stood up for me. And that was big. That was the first time I felt like, okay, not the first time, but like that was a moment where I was like, felt very loved by him, very protected, very valuable. And I know he thought those things, but it was like seeing him kind of stand up for me, that was a big deal. I needed that protection and that just knowing, yeah, that I was, more important to him than having a son.
Yeah.
And, thankfully we worked things out. He still has his son, but you know, I just really felt loved in that moment.
I think you bring up a really good point that I think sometimes gets lost and no many people don't say because I went through a very difficult time as a married woman. I'm now, remarried. I went through a divorce and I went through a season of grieving, not just losing the marriage, but feeling like I didn't have anybody to stand up for me. Like knowing that, you know, I cling to God, but in the natural, like what you said you share with our daughters. I mean, you haven't gone through that, but fathers are that, right? In our home. They are that covering that we get to feel protected under. You think if something happens here, I have now I'm not talking about a Disney version and I know it's not all perfect. But many times many women don't have that and we end up looking like or behaving like they don't have that, right? And what I mean by that is sometimes we develop masculine tendencies or things that people in this world would call because we've had to figure out what it is to exist without that cover. Yes.
Mm.
And healing from that is a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And don't you think too that part of that is like when I was listening to Sally, it was making me think that when we're not covered and protected by our dads, that we don't feel secure.
Yeah.
And that's one of the top 3 things that women
Absolutely.
and girls need.
Yes.
We need to feel a sense of security. And when we don't have it, that the insecurity comes in, and then we
Yes.
start feeling lack of confidence or like,
hmm
you know,
Or these
don't have our voice.
Yeah.
You know, we don't.
Yeah. 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 Going back to, and I think the word that, as she was talking, as you were talking, the word that comes to my mind is just that sense of safety,
Yeah.
feeling like somebody in the world has my back, somebody I can go to. And that sense of safety also gives you a sense of confidence and a sense of reality in terms of there's something that is certain and sure that I know that I can rely on. And what happens a lot of times is if that is absent from the home, sometimes the woman can have that sense where they're not sure what is real. And then especially if they tend to have relationships where there's been a betrayal of some kind or where there's been a heartbreak. And now they're wondering again, what's real? And I think the love of a father and a love of the father establishes that sense of reality, especially, as I was reading and he was talking about that I am, and that means I'm here presently. I'm not just in the past or in the future, but I'm here right now in the here and now present with you, even in your pain. And I think that is something that many look for in the moments of difficulty and pain and fear and overwhelm, is that right now you're here in the here and now with me.
Hey, Miss Kim, kind of quiet. What's happening? Hey, Kim is not usually that quiet. Look, we're looking to hear some of that fire that comes from Miss Kim right now. So what's happening?
Well, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but I didn't have that experience.
Yeah.
My dad, um, you know, he had a lot of struggle in his home and that led to him having a parenting paradigm. I think that was n- not beneficial
hmm
to the children.
Right.
Um, so, so all of that I didn't know at the time growing up. I knew that I was acting out. I knew that I had a lot of pain in my life. I knew that I was fighting for um to be chosen.
Mm.
Not consciously, right? As I look back on all that. But I do know I was fighting to be seen.
hmm
Um and so I a lot of times that was through negative behaviors. So um yeah, I think that's been tough. But I became a Christian when I was 30 and learned the love of my father, right? The perfect daddy, and cling to that 100% now. And am so grateful for that. And uh, I know I'm chosen. I know I'm seen now because of God, but for the first, 30 years of my life, probably not so much.
Mm.
Yes.
Not too much.
So yeah, you make a very good point because we see so many young people, male and female, but we're talking about daughters, fighting to be seen, fighting to
hmm
be chosen, right? And so if we're fighting to be seen and fighting to be chosen, what has happened at home with the
Right.
father, right? And that's what I was talking about initially, is like, because he told me some of those things when bad things did happen, because they still did happen.
Right.
You have that foundation. And even though you may not always choose right, there's something about knowing it
Yes. I
that
think
that
yeah.
prepares you, right?
It was surprising to me that no one was asking me, well, teachers or anybody, nobody was asking me, what's going on with you?
Mm-hmm.
hmm
Mm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like when I hit my second grade teacher,
Mm-hmm.
because
That
she
should have
didn't
been
tell
should have
Ovis to stop pulling down my bandana. I had a cute little bandana in my hair. And we were in circle time, and she was sitting behind me, and she kept pulling down my bandana, and I'm like, stop pulling down my bandana, and she didn't. And so I raised my hand and I told my teacher, I said, tell Clovis to quit pulling down my bandana. And that teacher said to me, well, maybe you shouldn't have worn a bandana.
Oh.
And I marched right up to her. I smacked her as hard as I could and said, tell her to stop pulling down my bandana.
Oh, okay.
And so I feel like in that moment, maybe instead of sending me home, which I got sent home in the second grade, maybe somebody should have said, what's going on?
What's
with
going
you?
on, right?
Yeah.
I see you. What's going on? Because I can give you a million of those examples where I was crying out and nobody was listening. And I just felt like, how come none of these adults are asking me, what's going on? Because I think, when things are happening with your father at home, just feeling insignificant. He was a very angry man, didn't have care or attention for us. I was just trying to get it. And then I got kind of aggressive. I think I did some of what you were saying as I started to take some of those masculine traits to protect myself. Because then I was like, well, if nobody's going to do that for me, I'm going to do it myself. Because I didn't know God.
Yeah.
And nobody was telling me that that was God's job
Right.
and that he wanted to do that for me.
I'm still surprised that no teacher, counselor, or somebody didn't intervene or even ask the question.
Yeah, like what's going on?
I'm actually
Yeah.
not as
Yeah.
surprised.
Like back when plus, my generation.
Well, and right, it takes intention well, we lay our lives down for each other. But in and of ourselves, we have enough going on. So your teacher had to teach that class.
Right.
Clovis or whoever
Yeah,
she was trying to get what she needed to get for herself, right? Well, I'm looking for Clovis. but people actually have to pay attention to care for others or to see what is, they may have seen it, but were they intent to love you?
Right.
Listen up, love.
Yes.
Were they trying to love Kim? Or were they trying to love self? And so I think in this day and age, the work that we do is a deliberate attempt to love students, to love families in ways that sometimes they're not even equipped to love themselves. So when we give away these skills, we're giving them something to be able to do that.
Right. And I want to say to teachers, counselors, librarians, media center people, anybody in the school system, coaches, drama teachers, whoever, like if there is a student that is behavior is less than stellar, I would love for you to check in. If you've got somebody on your mind right now, I'd love for you to check in and be like curious with that student. Like, what's going on? Is there something going on?
I agree with that totally because a lot of times, many people don't even know what to look for.
Right.
And some things are just going on at home that might happen that we just think that, that's bad it happened, but not realizing that in the family, within the family system, that there's been trauma.
Yeah.
And it can have so many different shades. It could be, it may not be abuse. It might be abuse. It might be verbal and emotional abuse. It might be neglect. It might be the fact that maybe something happened to that kid got bullied or sexually harassed and they kept quiet about it because of shame. And they're struggling with that, or so many possibilities. Mom and dad broke up. Well, that's an attachment wound. That's traumatic.
Yeah.
Grandmom or a family member passing away. That's loss. And a child is grieving and nobody knows it.
Yeah.
You
The
know?
challenge is that it's
Mhm.
so much easier to judge someone as bad.
Right.
Mhm.
Because I think
Mhm.
that's what
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I went to Catholic school.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the reputation, right? I was
Mhm.
getting the spankings. I was the one with the
You got
getting
the ruler.
smacked. I got the ruler.
Mhm.
I did get the spanking with the pad. Sister
Mhm.
Laurencia. Sister Stephanie, it's okay. Uh, so, but I just wonder what would happen. Now I can't say things would have been any different if somebody did ask me because I don't think I could have probably put it into words. But I was all
Mhm.
throughout my stay in that school from 3rd grade to 8th grade. I was giving a lot of people a lot of opportunities to be curious and ask me what was going on, and
Mhm. Mhm.
nobody asked.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
Wow. I think it's really powerful that if one person can step in or they see um that it can change the trajectory. It
Mhm.
can be like the beginning of change,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I
For
think
sure.
that's really powerful. That it's kind of what the Father and what Jesus does and how we interact with one another. It's like one person steps in, it can change everything.
Mhm.
One
Mhm.
person asks a question or you think we're talking about pathways.
yeah.
You think that someone's entered your path, but it's not an accident. It
Mhm.
was really God intervening to take
Right.
you in another direction. But
Mhm.
I would want to say to Kim, I'm just so I love your personality, and I know that, some people would say that it might be assertive or aggressive in different ways, but we need assertive and aggressive. We need all of the different personalities. We need people
Mhm.
that are kind of pulling back and being a little bit more quiet and contemplative. So
Mhm.
we need our Kims, our Sallys, our Packers, our Erics,
Yeah.
because you intervene where somebody else would not, or you can see how to speak to this particular child in whatever way is necessary at that moment.
Mhm.
Mhm. Mhm.
So we need everybody.
Yes.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
agree.
Yeah.
So there are, just as you just said, there are different personalities and different children. So like I respectfully disagree that you would not have yielded to someone. There would have been someone that could see Kim the way Kim needed to be seen.
Yeah.
Um so I watch Sally often because I get the opportunity to see Sally in her flow with young people. And it's amazing what she can pull out
Yeah.
of them and how she can cause them to see themselves differently than when they first began working with her. Um, Sally's completely different than me, right? And that's okay
Yeah.
because some kids need me, right? And I don't even know what I offer, but it's something, that I offer. But it's okay. We have to get courageous and get curious because literally in this day and age, children's lives are on the line. They have access to things that we didn't have access to. They are exposed to things that we weren't exposed to, and they are crying out for help. So they're not just a fast girl posting
Right.
inappropriate things.
Yeah.
Right.
Somebody needs, like you were saying, I needed to be seen. I needed to be chosen.
Mhm.
Yeah, but it looks different now.
And dads, you're the one
Yep.
for sons and for daughters.
Yeah.
You play such an important role
Yeah.
in that person feeling your child feeling seen, boy or girl.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
I agree totally. Because when a person when they feel seen and heard, then that's where their confidence
yes.
begins to emerge of who they are going to be in society and in the world.
Yes. Absolutely.
The other thing that comes to my mind is when my father-in-law passed away, it's been about 20 years, maybe a little over 20 years now. But at his funeral is when my husband, I think, found out how much he was loved by him. So many people came up and told my husband, like, Jack was so proud of you. And he just talked about you all the time. And he was so proud of all the things you did. And he just loved you. But my husband never heard that from him.
Yeah.
And I just think that's so important to share those things with your own kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, when you have the opportunity. You know, that was nice that he got to hear that then, but it was kind of late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, better late than never, but still, I think he would have loved to have heard that earlier in life too. hmm
So I think this is an ongoing conversation
Yeah.
Mhm.
about the impact of fathers. Hey, friend. Thank you so much for spending this time with me on Listen Up, Love. It truly means more than you know. If today encouraged you, check the links below for resources, reflection guides, and ways to stay connected. And if someone came to your heart while you were listening, go ahead and share this episode with them. You never know how one conversation can open a door for healing. Until then, or till next time, keep leaning in and remember that listening is an act of love.